I'm gonna start with a different song today.
A different song. Speakers out.
Yeah, that's DJ Crazy Times.
So what is that?
Kyle Gordon, he's a comedian. And he does spoofs of like genres.
Okay.
So
yeah, I could feel the inspiration.
Yeah,
in that
it's amazing because it's actually a banger. First of all, it's just like
you take the lyrics out.
The lyrics are just hilarious. Touch it, make it twice before I cry.
I don't even. Okay,
it just makes no sense.
No,
they're just spoofing like Eastern European like
yeah, that era. There was a lot of that
like dance culture, like cascada. This is pretty much cascada.
Yes,
but,
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, he
spoofs
a bunch of stuff.
Not the drug, the music, the artist.
Oh,
yep. I
What's going
remembered that Prozac was also a pharmaceutical. Carry on.
Yeah, no, he's we can cut all that.
Oh no. That's gonna stay.
Are we gonna get?
Yeah, I think that's gonna stay.
Are we gonna get a what's it called?
Flagged? You'll get flagged for the.
I don't know.
Thefted audio, stolen. Fucking whatever. Who cares?
It's a great song. So, anyways, that came out like.
So how is this? Yeah, how is this your costume?
So I've been following this guy Kyle Gordon for many years now. I think many years, and he used to do a bunch of like spoofs and like his like Instagram reels are just hilarious, and they're just all very like just memeing things. He's very and now he's like blown up. He's like 500,000 followers. I think he's working for one of the big comedy programs, but he used to post all these like hilarious stuff, and recently he's been doing music stuff. So this is what I'm gonna be dressed as. Michaela and I are dressing as this, and maybe I'll pop it up on the screen.
Yeah.
So I have the whole outfit already, and
nice.
She has like a similar outfit.
So this is the song that you just.
This is the song, yeah. Okay. So he's just like
love it, yeah.
So, anyways, when I was,
you have to have like music with you then as you're going around.
I'm gonna make a like.
You need to have like.
Well, it's fine. We look
Bluetooth
like just like early 2000s party like dance
like
Euro
dance,
but like yeah. So when we were away for our vacation this year, that song came out, and I was just like,
oh yeah, perfect time.
Dying laughing. And then
I played everything you listen to there, like legitimately.
Like kind of, it reminds me of being a kid in my dad's car and him like driving me to school, listening to Cascada. Yeah. Like it is just like, so it's funny. And then you listen to the lyrics, and you're like, this is so good because then you think of all those songs, and they're like English second language singers that the lyrics kind of are just, you're like, okay, well, the beat's good.
It's like every anime opening that's been adapted to English.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that makes sense, but
I don't think I can see what they're trying to say.
It's a banger, so it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, it's a super inside joke. No one's going to know what it
Yeah, you need to keep, I think you need like a Bluetooth speaker in your back pocket, just like blasting everywhere you go.
Nah, it's like the people who know will know. Like,
it'd be like two people.
They went to the Jonas Brothers concert.
Oh yeah.
To perform this song.
Yeah.
Just randomly.
Okay. So somebody might
to the crowd, and people were like so confused. And then there's some people that just know exactly every lyric. Because if you know the song, it's a banger.
Nobody, and then like two guys.
Yeah, two guys just dancing the whole thing. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm still dressing up for Halloween. That's not done yet. The dream's still alive. I love Halloween.
It's fun. I was just talking about this downstairs, but like, you have to figure the costume part is always a bit of a struggle. This year we're like 2 months ago, so there's all these crazy like family costumes you can do. Great idea. Okay, we have all September. We can prep. Blah blah blah. Okay, September's gone and Halloween's in a week. We haven't done anything. What are we gonna do? You have a unicorn thing. Pop. Okay, problem solved.
Exactly. It always it fizzles out. You know.
We used to go hard. We used to do like couples costumes and think about it like far in advance and actually like try and make something creative. But I don't know. It's a lot of work. And you have to start early.
You have to start. That's the big key.
If you have to start
like
really
early
and like personal. Like you need to start early, like putting stuff together. Otherwise, you're just ravaging
Party City,
Spirit Halloween or whatever. Like
getting all the scraps, and then it's like everything's sold, and it's expensive too.
It's crazy expensive. If you want like something pre-made that's like a half decent costume, I
already had a costume. Okay, so like a few months back when the Barbie movie came out, Our original idea, and this was my girlfriend's idea.
Done so many different combos of Ken and Barbie.
So I was gonna be Ken, and she was gonna be Oppenheimer, and it was just like it would have been so good, right? Like just throw everything off. And I have a shirt now that says "I'm Knuff." It's like from the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
And I wore it out one night, and I was like, I went to the Leafs game, went out after, and not everybody, but there were those people like this. The first person to notice my shirt, and you forget you're wearing it after a while. It's like a normal shirt. And I'm at the Pizza at the Scotiabank Arena, and he's just like, "I love your shirt. I love your shirt." And he's working there. I was like, "Holy, what? Like me? Like, oh yeah, this shirt." I was like, "Thanks, man." He was just like pointing at me, like super intense, just loving it. Bud. And I was like, "Okay, it's good. I just want my pizza.
Yeah,
just give me my pepperoni
good shirt.
slice."
Sometimes that's fun.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice compliments. A lot of people were like, "That is great." I almost sold it that night at a bar. One of the bartenders was like, "How much you want?" And I was like, $100. He's like, "Deal." And I was like, $100 is too low.
Then I have to like
I was like,
take my shirt off.
I was like, I paid like $100 for this. Like, I'm not gonna just give it. Yeah, it was.
Life's expensive.
I got into the hype, but
anyways, expensive. Anything branded is like crazy expensive.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we did this idea. So I'm gonna look like this guy, and I just got the vest in, and I'm gonna dye my hair purple. It's gonna be great.
That's fun.
Yeah. I've always had so much fun on Halloween. Like it's so like lighthearted, and I love when I see people dressed up and being like, yeah, you're not taking yourself seriously. Everybody's just having fun here. It's like the best time of the year. The
best time of the year.
Yeah, it's the one time
it's not bad. Yeah,
that you openly go out in public vulnerable and just be like, I look ridiculous. I'm just like, I'm in the mood. Yeah. I don't care if anybody's judging me. Like, just, I'm going out, and actually I'd want people to judge me and laugh and like, have
that's the whole point. You gotta have a good costume.
Yeah,
so that like when people judge you, they're like, hey, he put some work in.
Yeah.
It.
So I love that. I love that. Like it's so different. We're so uptight, and like now you can't go up to someone and say, I like what you're wearing, or I dislike what you're wearing, or whatever. You can't just make any comments. Now it's like the safe thing to do is just ignore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but that day is like,
you genuinely be like, hey, nice hair and harassment.
Exactly. Fuck. Yeah. Halloween, you're like, you look like an idiot. I love it. And it's just like, yes, that's exactly what I was going for. So yeah, it's always exciting. So it'll be fun, I think. But I feel like dressing a baby.
Wait, what do you do? Do you like trick or treat?
Oh yeah.
You just go full out, hit the streets.
No, of course not.
I mean, why not? Now it circles. No, you can't.
With the song,
but it's dancing.
Actually, that would be really
no. That's
fun.
The best part about having kids now is it circles back, and now you get to get all the candy again. You get all the free trick or treating. That's the whole vibe.
It's a trap.
It's also like you have to watch the Costco package of.
I was about to say
shit in your cupboard for like a month now.
What do you mean you watch it?
I have to sit there.
I've eaten 2 of those already.
We killed a whole box, and then we bought 2 more. Lauren bought 2 more from Costco, and was like, "These you can't open these, but she got the good ones." Second time.
What were the good ones?
Like the
Maynards,
the candy ones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With like the
Swedish
peaches
berries.
and the berries and the Sour Patch Kids.
Oh,
we got a whole bag, and it's just sitting there, and I can't touch it.
Those are so good. I eat all the Kit Kats.
Yeah, that we have a second. That's our second box. Is that
crisp,
one?
All the coffee crisp remains,
and then the first box we had was the Snickers one. Snickers, Mars.
Oh, that's a good.
We killed that one.
That's a good.
M&Ms.
Yeah. That's.
But now we gotta just watch.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're out of snacks. You sure you don't want one of the? Fucking put it down.
Yeah. Halloween overall great time. I think dressing a little baby would be so much fun. I would go.
We'll try dressing a baby.
No, but I mean, like
toddler.
I think making them look ridiculous would be so much fun.
Yeah. This is the good era too. Like now, maybe next year.
She's getting
if
old.
If not the following, where she'll be able to make her own decisions. So you can't.
I want to dress like this. And
you're like, oh, okay, fine. I guess we're doing Cocomelon or some shit or whatever. Or I'll dress up as Miss Rachel. Probably that's the move. Like last year we did like Ice Baby, that was hilarious. This year we still don't really know. We have a couple of like ideas, but now it's too late. We're gonna be screwed. We'll figure it out. But it's fun. And then you get to like, I don't know, you go see the neighbors, like walk up and down the street and talk to people that you only talk to once a year on Halloween kind of thing. Like actually interact with your neighbors.
I remember being in school and I had this conversation with my family too. And you can realize whose parents love them.
Why? Who gets a good costume? Jeez.
No, that was a joke.
I mean, it was like 50, a little bit of joke.
It was kind of harsh reality of life. But yeah, I mean, like I would go, okay, so my mom would go all in, right? Like I'd be in school in the morning, and we'd have this like little parade around the block, and all the parents would come out, and so I'd go home. My grandparents' house was like a block away from my school, and she would meet us there, me and my sister and I, and we'd have our costumes ready, and we'd go all out, like we would have top 5%, maybe top 2% of the costumes at the school, like super all out,
such a try hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we'd go back, and like one year I would dress like John Cena, and I had like the muscle pack, the belt on, and I was just like going around to everybody like the kids. Like it was like the best, like so much fun, and yeah, it's just so much fun, man. Like especially when you're young, it brings me back to the days. Like every time I drive through Seton Village, especially this time of year, the fall, like the trees, you know, it's fall, the colors, and you know it's like kind of damp and rainy sometimes, and it just brings me back to Halloween and like all the memories I have as a kid in that neighborhood.
I try to remember like what I ever was as a kid. We had a good, like we were on a street. It was like a crescent that had 2 courts at the end. It was like a perfect spot for trick or treating.
Like sorry,
it was
crescent
busy
with 2 courts.
So it was like a U, and the ends of the U were just 2 courts.
Oh, cool.
And you would come in through the middle, sort of like a street came down and then cross street,
like a Y, like a Y shape, right? Like
inverted. Like the long piece came. It's hard to explain, but anyway, yeah.
Oh, like
just
that.
how to get into the community.
Like okay. Yeah, like an arrow.
Yeah, yes, an arrow, and the 2 courts on the end of the arrowhead, right? Good. It's a good like kid street. The street was always bumping.
Oh yeah,
like, there's no traffic would ever come through.
Yeah, the basketball net, hockey net.
Yeah. The courts there was always whatever.
Yeah,
but they were always like on Halloween. It was always bumping. It was so busy as a kid, but I can't remember what the hell I ever was. I don't think I can remember a single costume from like before my 20s.
Dude, I have this picture. I'll send it to you when I get it. And it's me dressed as Zorro as a kid, and I was kind of chubby, so it's just like this little chubby kid with like the sombrero, like the Zorro hat, the black outfit with like a little cape or something, and a little drawn on mustache.
Spectacular.
And it just like I thought I killed it. You know, when I was there, I was like, oh yeah, like I look.
And you look like
I look great. And now looking at, I look like Jack Black. Like it looks like Jack Black, like Nacho Libre kind of. Like that's what it's giving. But I thought I was like, I'm a badass. I look like Zorro. Like look at this mustache. I can't wait until
Tenacious D.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Should do a Tenacious D and then someone be the devil.
Yeah, or Nacho Libre and
anything Jack Black's
Jack Black's great, man.
What the hell have I done? Tuxedo Mask one year, but that was after I was 20s. We did a nerds thing where like Lauren and I were both a different flavor of the nerds box.
You sent me that. Yeah, that was a great outfit.
That was a good one. We did Google Maps one year. We did a Guess Who game. We were both like different Guess Who people.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, you guys went all out.
Yeah, we did a few like hardcore ones.
Those are hardcore. Yeah.
The nerds one was probably like the most effort. I had to like paint like the whole boxes.
Yeah. But you love painting.
I know. That's how it was fun.
Yeah, it's the best time of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go all out with fellas. Go all out.
Last year was kind of fun.
Do it this year too.
No, we don't have time left.
You have a week.
Less. Or I guess a week.
It's like a week.
Oh, well.
You can figure it out. Like kids, like, okay.
Figure too much stuff.
All right. What are we going to do? What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Pick one.
She has a unicorn outfit. We were just going to plop her in a unicorn, but then what do you do on top of that? Like as the parents?
I'll go
Team
as
Unicorn. Just Team Unicorn? I'll get like, I think someone somewhere has like a pool floaty that's a unicorn for like bachelorette parties. I should just wear that.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, do that. I don't know. Just like draw a little mustache on her and put like a trucker's hat and just like it's hilarious. Like anything you do to a kid is just hilarious. You know what I mean? Like put a flannel on her, like some jeans, and then just like make her like it'd be so funny. Anything you do, like there's so many possibilities.
That's fair.
What's like meta right now?
What's meta in fucking toddler?
No, just in like what's
in
like
life.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like what's like a funny meta? I don't know either.
Inflation and depression.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, she's someone going through a financially tough time right now.
She just has to hold an empty wallet the entire time as she's going along.
Just like get a little like strap around her
500
her
credit score stapled to her shirt. Just like
no, that's way too
dark.
Rough.
It's too on the money.
Well, anyways,
just a bag of like rotten vegetables that she picked from some cheap grocery store.
The side of the highway.
Yeah, those are expensive.
Yeah,
those like farmers market shits are.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
Everything's expensive.
That's how you know you're living lux.
Dude,
So you know you're living lux.
Oh,
Opulent when you can shop on the side of a highway for strawberries or what have you.
Dude, so I was like, okay, if you go out to get a meal now, I just remember like a few years back, it felt like $12 was like what I would pay. Now it's like $20.
I think I got like a Big Mac combo the other day. Don't take me for health advice, kids. It was like $18.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Goodness. It's absurd.
You definitely got large fries.
Probably, yeah.
But still,
they only give you the stickers with the large ones. I needed the Monopoly. That's Monopoly season, so I got.
Is it Monopoly season now?
Yeah.
Oh,
don't do it. It never works. Every year, I'm like, hey, it's Monopoly season.
You get
this
free,
year. I'll
like,
win something.
Cheeseburger,
muffin.
Yeah, whatever. That's good.
But
it's expensive.
Yeah,
it got really expensive.
Everything.
Like you can really see the impacts of our high inflation.
Pretty much everything that I've purchased at all recently and paid attention to the price. I've been like, whoa, the last time I bought that wasn't that much money. Or at least, a couple of years ago paid attention to it, be it groceries, some shit at Home Depot, whatever. Cars. Oh my God, cars are expensive now.
You know what's insane? Like go back. If you're making the same amount or relatively similar to what you were making 3-4 years ago, you're actually down probably 15-20% minimum of the actual value of that. So like if you're making 100K, it's really like 80K now.
Yeah.
And like 80K was when you started making 100K. Like it's a huge.
So they say inflation's like with the silent tax, right?
Yeah,
it's just like
silent
it
killer.
Sneaks up on you, but this is not sneaking these days.
Yeah, it's really bad. Rough.
Depressing.
Anyways, we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
So we got a question.
Cool neighbor. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we'll do that one.
We'll do this one. Yeah. We'll save the other one for the next episode.
Yeah.
So we got a question months back now. It was a while.
Yeah.
Ago, from one of our loyal followers.
Thanks for the comment.
Oh, that sounded weird.
Yeah. Are we starting to make a church now?
From
see me on stage.
One of our
getting demons out of you.
First disciples. No, from somebody. I don't know. Can't even remember the name. Who was it? We'll pull it up. Anyways,
like that.
And they asked us. So pretty much to summarize the question, they're going to become realtors, and they're going through the process now through the schooling, which is actually different than when we went through it.
Yeah,
so it's
a little bit. I don't think it's too much different.
No,
but it is definitely.
I can't really touch on what to expect during the schooling. But the question was, why did we choose to become realtors, and how were our first kind of few years as being realtors or going through the process? Like, what did we do? So. Which is a great question. I mean, I might have butchered that question, but that was the gist of it. And that's what we'll talk about, because I think that's great. I think, first of all, questions are great. Any questions that anybody has that may be listening to this, other than half of our viewers, which are our family,
not
them. I don't want to hear your questions. But everybody else, I will be happy to answer and share some of our experience. So. What are you laughing at? Are you
nothing? I'm just I found the guy. The guy's name is Brandon. I will say shout out Brandon. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon.
Yes. So they're both going through school at the moment. He is studying to be an agent, a realtor, and his girlfriend is studying to getting her home inspector's license prior to, and then looking to get her real estate license. So was curious about our experience in the process of getting our license, and then just like. Tips for new realtors.
Yeah. Cool. You want to go? You want to start?
Process.
Run.
Fill.
Don't do it.
You know what though? I think these days, if it's still something that's on your radar, if it's like 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, everyone kind of not everyone,
like 50 or 60,000 of us.
I think it's over 70 now. Like it's a lot.
Is that GTA or Ontario?
Like Treb. The board. Not Ontario, just Treb. There's a lot of people. And I think when you look at the stats, you see a lot of people, more than half, don't do a deal or do a deal or less a year. Like they just have their licenses kind of part-time or on the side.
Yep.
And then there's a segment of probably like part-time that maybe do a deal to 3 a year. But it's really like 10% of the industry that does the vast majority of the work, the people that do it full-time. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people over the last few years got their license for, hey, it's easy money. Oh, I saw the commissions.
Touch turns to soul.
Yeah. I saw the commissions and it's easy money. And maybe there is an element of truth to that for some, but I think those that are still sticking around and still full time and still interested in entering the industry, it'll be a good time for growth for them. Getting my license. So yeah, like Spiro said, it's a different time now. Like it was before, we did it through ARIA, I think, and now it's through Humber. But I think for the most part, it's still the same general courses. As far as going through the courses, I think Pass It's still a thing. My only advice is definitely Pass It if you have access to Pass It. Yeah. It's like test samples.
Is that still a thing?
I think so.
I hope so.
Because it was like $20. I mean, it's probably like 100
course,
now.
It was like 20 per course or something. But
yeah.
So
but it would give you like old test samples. You just dry run the test nonstop.
And honestly, you'll learn more doing Pass It than anything.
Yeah. That's like course materials. I mean, I'm not a school guy, but the course material is kind of dry.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, there's some interesting stuff. Only when you're talking about what was the measurements like? And
the measure things in like links and chains,
chains and links. Yeah. God. I've never used that.
There's so many random things that just aren't. I mean, this is every school. There's so many random things that just aren't applicable at all.
Yeah.
And then there's some things where you don't use it in your every now and then it pops up and you're like, oh, I'm glad I actually have a reference point on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Pay attention, do this. Go like passing the tests or passing the tests. That is what it is. I think for the most part, it's all the same as far as like schooling. Our just only suggestion is if Pass It's available, 100% use Pass It. Yeah. It's worth the money. Why did I become an agent? What's my path, my lead up? It was interesting. I never really wanted to be in sales. Sales was not my I want to be a realtor because I want to sell homes or like pretty homes or what have you. I came from a bit of a different direction than I think a lot of people. I mean, you as well, but I think
this is when you were a bottle girl.
This is before I got my real estate license. When I was a bottle girl, yes. Hey, times have changed. We can be whatever we want to be. Yeah, I was a fledgling property manager many, many moons ago, and even then, I was like, I don't know, I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do when I got into property management, but very quickly learned people and properties, and that was the thing. Still didn't want to be an agent then, hadn't even hit my radar, and then moved over to another company where I did a lot of, we got into the investment side of the game, still did a lot of property management, project management, really got my foot into, and even financing. I worked in like the private side of financing for a while. I worked for a mortgage broker, technically worked for a home inspector for a little bit, not saying go do all of these things separately. This was lucky enough. I was just in one shop that gave me the ability to wear a ton of hats in the industry. And they even were like, why don't you get your license? We kind of need an agent. But there it would have come with strings, a lot of strings. And I don't think I was ready for that sales side of things either way. So a lot of prior to getting my license was just kind of building the tool belt, if you will. To the point where it made sense. Still didn't want to be an agent. Couldn't see myself in this kind of position. Years later, came over here doing kind of very similar stuff, property management, project management, what have you, dealing with a different segment of clients, looking at a different segment of properties. And that's what kind of got me to make the switch finally. Like just finding a property type that I really jived with, a client base that I think I could use the skill set that I had to work more on like a coaching capacity and really like pass along a lot of this knowledge. Now the tool belt that I had built had value, and then switching into a more sales role added a level of like flexibility to life.
Naturally.
It came very, very naturally.
You already
at
built
the time.
You built the toolbox or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wasn't just becoming an agent to go and sell homes and then build the skill set afterwards. I had built a toolbox and then kind of got the real estate license and applied it to the existing toolbox with the investor client base. Like my skill set might not have worked really well to jump directly into like end user sales, right? But it worked really well for the investor client base we had. Yeah, I don't know. It just made sense to me when I did the switch. It was a big move. You go from like full salary to full commission is not a move you can take lightly.
Faint of heart.
Yeah. So another tip I think that is good is, I mean, depending on your personal financial situation, perhaps slow rolling it a little bit. I was lucky enough to
100%
be able to like get some deals in the pipeline first before going full time.
I'm going to hop in
All right,
here.
go.
So on that point, you can't just get your license and then be a realtor. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like technically, yes, you are a realtor. You can put it in your bio and all that, but you're not practicing anything. And the question that I'll ask you as, you know, starting out as a realtor, and it's a question that I ask myself, is why the hell is someone going to trust you with the biggest sale or purchase of
That's a big one.
their life, right?
You
Like, why? If you're, especially the younger you are, because that's a challenge that I've faced, and even till this day, now I'm not as young as I was when I originally started, of course, but I'm still way younger than 95%, maybe 98% of the realtors. Like, I'm still in that category. Why the hell would someone trust you just coming out of school to sell, you know, their whole life practically, right? Like, that's all their savings for the most part, or you know, it's a family home that they lived for 30 years, or they're making an investment decision that could, you know, really decide what their future is. And, you know, you're not a financial analyst, but you can advise them with what they're looking for, and help them on that way. So why would they trust you? That's the question that you need to answer. And it's not because you're, you know, the best, because you're not going to be. It's not because you're, you know, the smartest, because you aren't. Like, these are just, you have to figure it out. So one thing is, when you're starting, is your work ethic has to be stronger than everybody's. That's something that you can manage and you can actually do. So how many hours a day are you going to work, and what are you going to be doing? That's the biggest question you got to answer, is what are you going to be doing?
Yeah. How do you fill your time?
Because you can't do it alone. And that's something that, you know, with my experience, I've had my license now for 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. 7 years, 6, 7, 7, 8, something like that. Long time. I've been practicing full time now for a handful of years, not that entire time. A lot of it, the first few years were very slow, and I wasn't full time though. I was doing other things. One, I was in school for a couple of the first years still, getting a degree in economics and finance. Like, it was different. I had a very slow, long run up, but that's how it sort of is. Unless you're becoming a realtor from already a position of a lot of trust and a big network of people that already want you to represent them. So, you know, I'm thinking people in the finance industry, lawyers can make that switch. You're already a very established individual.
You need to have like a relevant network.
Exactly. Yeah. You live in a very, you know, affluent neighborhood, and you have a lot of contacts that are at that point that they need to buy and sell, and you've already gained a lot of people's trust. Then that's a little bit different. You can disregard what I'm saying, but for the most part, for the average person, especially with no connection, it is very, very difficult to become a successful realtor.
Yeah.
You have to find
to get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Right? It takes a lot of time to get the ball rolling, and consistency. I think that's a big one that a lot of people miss, is just consistently putting in the reps, doing the work, getting the knowledge. Like, it took even, like, I had a big tool belt before I got my license and started, but there were certain things that you just don't understand until you're actually like practicing. And it was still, I don't know, it feels like a year for a lot of these other things before I had a confidence level that I could speak to certain things to people. And the more you put in the reps, the more you kind of build the confidence, and then you can inspire the confidence in your client and talk to other people. Finding a team.
Finding a team.
Finding a team is very important. I think a lot of people, they start and they look at like their brokerage options perhaps and say, let me go to just like the cheap brokerage that lets me keep 100% of my commission, and I only pay a small desk fee a month, as opposed to maybe joining a team that has like a pretty high commission split. They would be taking a lot of your commission, but at the same time, do you have leads yourself? If you go to, like, let's say Right at Home, for example, and you just joined a brokerage. Brokerage is in the business of getting agents to pay them desk fees. And I mean, especially if it's a brokerage that doesn't charge you a percentage split, it's basically just desk fees. So the more agents they can have, the better. They're not incentivized necessarily for your well-being or for your business. Finding a team is really helpful, where you can kind of, one, there's going to be leads that show up, and 100% of nothing doesn't really mean much versus half of, you know, consistent leads. And there's mentorship on a team, and you can see where you screw up, and they can tell you, here, do this better, and here, this is how I got here, and here's the next steps you should take to scale your business, instead of kind of just like going it alone at a lot of a different larger brokerage, right? So I'm a big fan. I mean, I think we're maybe a little bit biased, but a big fan of being part of a team. Finding one is a different question. I don't even know how you go about doing that.
Yeah, finding one is tough, and I think it just it requires a lot of humility.
Yes.
And dropping your ego to the side and realizing that hey, it's not going to be glamorous for the first handful of years. It's going to be actually the opposite of glamorous. It's going to be a grind.
Yeah, the lifestyle design and blah blah blah, and I don't have a boss and yada yada yada. You learn all that's kind of BS pretty quick.
Yeah, BS pretty quick. Yeah, you have many bosses.
A lot of bosses. Every client's
many bosses, and you're in the trenches for the first little while. And a little bit about my story, I guess. And I've said this on the podcast before, and why I decided to become a realtor. I mean, the easy answer is it was a family thing. Like as a kid, my dad is a realtor, and I would kind of see what he was doing. I picked up on a lot of things from a young age, and I realized he went through and I'll have him on the podcast once he can explain this, but he went through a moment in life where he had an illness, and it really affected him. And he was, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and he worked, right? So before that illness, he was working 12-hour days, every day. I barely saw him. And like whatever, he had to provide for a family on one income, and he did well at that time. But that illness happened, and then after that illness, it was 2 very tough years for the family, right? Like that was 2 years of no money, maybe. Like it was really tough. And after that, he came back and he said, "Well, I've gone into where I am in my career, and I'm going to change the way I am going forward. Now it is about family first. Now it's about health first, and it's about enjoyment of life first." So he made that choice, and I saw him navigate that. And sure, he still took phone calls during dinners or had to go out these odd times and some random weekends, but he was at every hockey game that I had, and he was around, right? Like I grew up with him in the picture. And so I think for me, it put into perspective, what is work and what do I want work to be. And like I just said before this little part, this little tangent, you have to put in those 12-hour days at the beginning. It's just, if you don't, you're not going to make it, and you won't be around long enough to even reap the rewards of, the 6-7 digit income that you can potentially make. 6 digit, let's start there.
Let's leave 7 off the table for now.
6 digit ambitious income that you can actually, consistently make after those years of grinding that are at the beginning. So for me, that was always the idea. I went to university, and I had pretty good marks in high school. I was like, I don't know what the term is, it came easy to me, I would say. Okay. Like, it's not that I tried harder than most people in high school. It's just, I tested well. I did well, and I did put in effort. I had some drive into it, and my options were, okay, what do? Do I go try to be an accountant? Lawyer was like my number one thing I really wanted to be, or do I go into real estate? I was like, if I go to accountant, I'm going to be working long hours and a lot of numbers, which I like numbers, but that's one thing. And then law is, again, a lot of hours and not as much flexibility for a long time.
Yep.
So real estate was where I wanted to go. So when I got my undergrad, which was economics finance, the whole reason I did that was to kind of solidify myself, knowing that, hey, I'm going to be coming at this at a young age. Like realtors, when you see really successful realtors, or you look online, and they're all like really in their 30s and then 40s and onwards. Like 40s, 50s, you should, at that point, you're probably pretty established. But when you see these like trendy guys, the Ryan Serhants and all that, they really start in their 30s where they start blowing up and it snowballs. Mid 30s, late 30s, all of a sudden now 40s, and now you're your own marketing. Just being your service is the marketing. So I was like, I'm going to be coming at this kind of against the wave, against the current, right? So I'm going to be swimming against the current. I'm going to be young. Why? I asked myself that question. Why would somebody? Am I smarter than everybody? Maybe at the time I thought I was, but like, no, I'm not. What can I offer them as a service? And at first I tried it on my own, right? I tried it without a team, and you learn pretty quick that it's tough, right? Like it's really tough because that question isn't answered. What's your track record? How many deals have you closed? What's your specialty? And I don't know, right? I just got my license. I have a cool degree, I guess, but what does that mean? It means nothing at the end of the day. So when I started and started leasing, I did all these leases. I crushed hundreds of leases, right? I managed 100+ units in property management. I dealt with most issues that you will find under the sun.
Yeah, you're on a team that gave you the ability to get the experience for all of that shit.
Yeah.
And also, I think people underestimate leases. New agents underestimate leases, for sure.
The value that crushing a bunch of leases, and nowadays too, the actual, it's pretty lucrative to crush leases.
I mean, I guess there's a difference on the landlord side versus the tenant side these days, but if work is work, like especially when you're starting out, take what you get, learn the ropes.
Yeah.
And I think I made a comment on lifestyle flexibility, like lifestyle design and flexibility, not necessarily being a thing out of the gate, but long term, the ability, like talking about accountant, lawyer versus realtor, and this kind of, you're planning your life. They're all going to have to deal with long hours. They're all going to have to deal with certain set hours, and they all have a pretty a decent pay ceiling. Two things are different with the realtor side of the equation, which what drew us here, is that the flexibility will show up. Like, you get the ability to design your day for the most part. There's always going to be some urgent stuff that happens, and you do have to be comfortable working kind of, I don't want to say working around the clock. 12-hour days every day is not like necessarily a thing, or doesn't necessarily need to be a thing. But there's, you need to be, that's a good thing at the beginning. If you have 12 hours a day worth of shit to do at the beginning, amazing.
Yeah, do it.
You can kind of snowball, right? Yeah. But you have to take calls at certain times. It is what it is. But if you're upfront with your clients and, hey, I'm doing this with my family during this time, like, you can set your schedule a little bit. I can dip out and go to doctor's appointments in the middle of the day with my daughter, kind of thing. That's not necessarily available in other careers. I might conversely then have to work at 8:00 at night, and instead of getting that work done during the day. But I, without appointments, get the choice to make that kind of decision. And the ceiling and the floor. The floor is up to you, and the ceiling is not entirely up to you, but it's a lot more up to you than it is with any other kind of T4 job, right? Both very important things when, let's say, you have a single income household and you need to absolutely turn it up to 11 to kind of keep things going. Handy. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Lots
also,
of flexibility.
The flexibility also too, when you're part of a team, is, I took a month off this year. Right. I couldn't do that in any other profession I was working in. I mean, maybe if I really asked, but I could take a month off and have a team to cover me and then come back and pick up where I left off. I mean, I didn't take any time off for the first 3.5 years. I didn't take any time off. Maybe a couple days here and there for an extended weekend.
And you've kind of got to go with high and down markets too, right? If the market's super hot and you take a vacation in the middle of your
opportunity cost is, and I actually knew when I left, my opportunity cost was around $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, it's low. Because when you went in those slow
to slow season, but I knew that I left, and I knew I left that on the table. I knew that I was making this decision. You can make that choice. To make that choice, and that was minimum. I know for sure I left that off the table because I saw what was in my pipeline had to be transferred to somebody else, and that's okay. I made that decision. It is what it is. But the fact is that I made that decision. Right. I decided. I knew what I was doing, and I knew that for me, what I needed to. Maybe I don't want X amount of income because I want. Right now is the time. I don't have kids. I don't have let me get out there. There's stuff I can do. Let me do it. So that's definitely part of the equation. But I think, and you mentioned this, the hard thing is, how do you find that team? And we both found it different ways. But I've had people ask me in the past too, can I join your team? Can I shadow you? I'm not at that point in my career that I'm doing moderately well. I would say is the best way to put it. I'm happy with what I've done, but can I be doing more? Sure. Yeah, of course. There's still a lot of room to grow.
It's a big snowball.
I'd be lying to you. This brings up another point before we continue of how to find a team, because that's a question that I don't know if necessarily we can really answer.
We don't have the greatest experience in that.
I think not really the answer there. We started when this was a startup. We found the team before the team was the team. We were the team at some point. A team of a couple people, right? So I think it's latching onto the agent, but what I was going to say, oh my God, it just passed my mind. Oof, it was important. It was very important. I'll finish the team thing then, because I remember. It's and I mentioned this earlier, it's having that humility and leaving your ego to the side.
Staying coachable.
It's knowing what you don't know. Meaning, the worst thing you can do when you're starting out is say
God.
is bullshit answers
Yeah.
or try to figure it out on the like make it up on the spot. The best thing that you can do as an agent, and I do this to this day, if there's a question I don't know how to answer, I say I don't know what the answer is to this. I will find it out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Let me get back to you. And then what I'll do is I will call who I need to call, whether it's a lawyer,
then you find out and you get back to them.
whether it's another team member that's dealt with this. You know, it's figuring out answers. Your job as a realtor, especially just starting, is not to have all the answers, because you won't have all the answers. You'll honestly probably never have all the answers, because things are changing too. But you're the person that needs to find the answers.
Yeah.
So how well can you find that, and how credible are your sources, right? So it's learning from lawyers, it's learning from accountants, it's finding a good home inspector, and
asking a lot of
having
questions.
them on speed dial, because I've called our home inspector many times of, hey, you know, this issue popped up, or here's another inspection, you know, can you look through this, or I've never seen this before in a property, what does this mean? And they'll have a lot of answers, and if they don't know, well, then they'll ask too. So it's creating that whole team environment and having that network, and knowing that you don't have to lie. You don't have to impress people. How you will impress people is just by your work ethic. It's just saying, I don't know this, but let me write this down in my notes, and I will get back to you in the next 2 hours.
I think that's the fastest way you will lose somebody as well, because it's very transparent when you're bullshitting people. I've gone through enough open houses and chatted with agents, and just chatted with agents over the phone who, like, I know where to find the information. I know now where to find most information that I could need on a property, or like you said, immediately who to call in the random off case that I don't. But very quickly we can get a pretty good idea for the answers that we need to have on a property that we're reviewing. If an agent bullshits me, most of those answers I can find myself, like fairly simply, right? That's not a good look. Or even worse, like I've been through an open house with a client, not like fairly recently, and she's asking questions of the listing agent, or it was someone on the team of the listing agent, I think, who was in the property. And we can hear people asking questions like around to the same guy. And just like, you could hear him like stammer for a second, and then just give out a full on like, oh yeah, that's a thing for sure. And then I think it was around an electrical meter. Like it was around like the size of the meter, if there was 2 meters or 2 panels. And like, you could walk outside and just check. Like, I know that I can walk outside and check. As we walked out of the property, I checked. And he was fully full of shit. Like, just say I don't know. Yeah. Say I don't know, and I'll get back to you. And then make a note of that for next time, that when I'm looking at a property, this is something that I should probably know.
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn. And then, like, conversely now, this showed up. I had an open house this weekend. Thankfully, they've done a ton to the property in recent years. So I have very recent receipts for things that I know, like, this was done at this time. But people will come through the open house and be like, okay, here's a question. I had this lovely old Greek couple come, not old, they're like my parents' age, come through, and they're like, I have to congratulate and commend you. You really know, like, what's going on with the property and, like, your stuff. I'm like, the bar ain't that high. I just took notes and paid attention to, like, you know, what's going on with the property, but like, it's super important, and it makes a good impression on people. Important. They then went on a tangent about how they've been through so many open houses, and people have no idea, no clue, the stats of the house, the age of the stuff. Like, it's all information that, especially if it's like your listing, you better have the information.
Very easy to
and it's not hard to get. But if you don't, say I don't know. Get their number, look it up, get back to them, figure out who you can get back to, who you can figure the information out from. And take a note for next time. That's probably something you should know, right? But that's all part of growth. Just be humble, stay coachable, learn as you go. Don't lie to people.
Yeah. A tip for starting out, what I used to do during my first little while, is actually look. So for me, I would pull out Google, my Gmail, and open up a new email and say, okay, so if I'm with a client or whatever, say, you're going to have a bunch of questions for me, and ask me them now, and I'm going to take notes and get back to you in a few hours, because we're together. I know in my head, I probably can only answer 50% at that point, or whatever it was. So they see that you're putting in the effort to follow up and make the notes of what they're asking. So you're validating their needs, and you're getting back to them in a good time period. It's making that, not saying, I'll get back to you. It's, I will get back to you in the next 3 hours. And then you get back to them in the next 3 hours. And you have that list. This is what you asked me. Boom, 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 boom. Here are all your answers. Boom, 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 boom. Next time someone asks you that question, you're going to know, because you've gone through that process. And if you don't, that's okay. You're going to ask them it again and follow up with them the same way. But that's how you learn. And that really helped me, because even going forward after 6 months, after a year, after even 2 years, I was like, what was that answer to that thing? Let me check my Gmail. Oh yeah, I remember.
It's all there.
There it is. Yeah, that's it.
It's another good one. Like the 3 hours is whatever. If the client, whatever timeline the client's comfortable with, don't make it forever. But if you say you're going to do something by a certain date, time, etc., you better fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like that's your word. And if people start to realize that like your word doesn't really mean shit, oh, I'll get it to you by 3 o'clock, and then it shows up on Wednesday 2 days later, it diminishes the relationship, right? So, I mean, goes in line with like, don't BS people. Just if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you don't know an answer, cool. Don't lie about an answer. We've gone down this rabbit hole long enough.
Yeah, dude, I had this one client, one agent, and we'll wrap this up. This is a long episode. We started off dancing.
Right. All right, agent.
This one agent, I called him about a property, and of course I can't say what property and I can't say what agent, but there's like a laneway house built on there, right? And I'm like, okay, well, it looks like it's been there for a while, and I don't know
what house
the legality is around it or all that. So I asked the agent, I go, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with this property here, right? Like, what's the legality? Is there any permits, anything like that? You know, I don't know. I don't want my issue is if my client buys this property and the city comes and says, hey, that's not legally allowed there. You got to tear it down.
Problem.
Well, that's my client's problem now, right? So I'm trying to see how legal this structure is. So I asked them, is there any permits? Is there any? It was no. There's no permits, but I guarantee you it's legal. And I'm like,
oh,
whoa.
God, that's my biggest pet peeve on the planet.
So right when he said that, I was like, well, everything that comes out of his mouth next, I cannot trust, because he just lied by guaranteeing something. I don't trust a single
person that would say the dirty G word.
Yeah, he's like, it is for sure legal because there is a separate hydrometer at the back there.
Cool. Okay. That might increase the likelihood.
It is more likely that it's legal, correct, but it's not guaranteed.
Do you have paper from the city? Did you talk to the city? You're just guaranteeing.
And they bought it after it was built. So this means that this has been built probably before laneway houses were a thing. So they would have to have.
I know which house you're talking about, and it 100% was built before laneway houses were a thing.
So it just goes to show, like, even someone who may be experienced or whatever it is, the way you portray yourself, especially to other realtors, being new to the game is fine. Use that to your advantage. Ask them questions. Say, hey, I'm new to this. Yeah. Help me out. Like, teach me about your property.
We're gonna keep going. This is gonna be long as hell. But the guarantee thing, guarantees and certainty is something that some clients will look for. So like, even in your flipping it back, not necessarily with other agents, but with your own clients on buy side, sell side, what have you. On the sell side, you never really want to guarantee an exit price. We've seen that go poorly very recently. And on the not personally, not for us, but like in the market, like and speaking with people after deals get or listings get terminated. Oh, well, so and so promised me I could get XYZ. Market's moved a lot, and you're a ways off that.
Never trust someone who's promising you.
Never trust promises, guarantees, certainties, and then on the buy side, a lot of clients will look for, okay, can you give me a guarantee that I can hit this number for rent, or the rental's going to cost this? These are things that are out of my control. We can give you a very strong idea based on our experience, the range of things, the likelihood of certain things. Guarantees and certainty are never anything that we will offer, because I don't control the market. The market could turn, new units could come up,
you hit the nail.
Go down.
You hit the nail on the head.
Contractors could be crazy. Like
it's exactly what you said, is the experience. So when you crushed hundreds of leases and continue to do leases. Yeah. Now when someone asks me how much can a unit like this lease
you have
for,
a very good gauge.
I can say I just did this lease last week. I did this one a few weeks ago. Our leasing manager actually did a couple. We have a couple listed here. Here's the MLS. I know what I'm talking about.
I got references.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I've gone through the ringer with leases. And then after your first few years as full-time agent and you close dozens of deals, hopefully even more, right? Well, even dozens of deals would be a great start.
That's a lot.
Yeah. For the first few years, that's a lot of deals. It's great, especially in Toronto. You have that to fall back on now. When someone asks me, well, why is this property better? Well, here are 3 recent deals I did in this neighborhood. This is how this one compares. This one is why it's better or maybe a little bit worse. This is a property that just sold around the corner that I saw last week because I see every property in this neighborhood. All of a sudden, the wealth of information that you have and the experience that you have shines, and that's in the second stage of your career where now all of a sudden, which is where I think I'm kind of in now, is that
it's a good, I mean, looping it back, it's a good point. It's a good stage. And we can very easily now provide clients with all of the information at their fingertips and some guidance to then make their own decisions. It's not, you have to remember that it's not your decision at the end of the day, right? All we can do is provide guidance, data, information, put stuff in their face, and don't offer a damn guarantee.
Never. That's it. And then thanks for the question. That was a great question.
That was a great question.
We rambled
Got us going
for a long time. Until next time on Open House Podcast.